What's good? What's good? What's good, baby? Welcome to MBS Central's Stardom Sit-em Fantasy Football Show. Of course, I'm your host, Truex the Sports Junkie. I'm going to help you right there tuned in, win your fantasy matchup and hopefully move on to your championship game. Now, of course, as you can see, I'm rocking solo today because my homie Keo from the Bay Area, he had some things come up. So he couldn't make it. But I want to say shout out to everybody in the MBS League, the Final Four competitors. Corey, my main man Corey, my main man Drew, my main man Jasper, and of course, my cousin Justin. They're all fighting for that beauty right there. As you can see, the MBS championship belt and the grand prize total of $1,600. Yes, we do a $100 buy-in with the winner taking everything. The winner taking everything. They take it all when it comes to the MBS League. There's no second place prize, no third place prize. It's all win or nothing, kind of like real football. We don't give nothing. You don't get no Super Bowl ring from getting to the Super Bowl. You got to get it all, baby. So with that being said, like I said, I'm Truex the Sports Junkie of the Nothing But Sports brand. This is the Stardom Sit-em Fantasy Football Show on MBS Central Network. And we're live, we're rocking on YouTube. So today, I basically, if you haven't been tuned into the show, I give you 5 quarterbacks to start. I go all the way down through every position, telling you who you should start and who you should not start. Excuse me. And I don't mention the elites. We know the elites is Patrick Mahomes. You know, you're going to start with Patrick Mahomes. You're going to start the Lamar Jacksons, the Russell Wilsons, the Sean Watsons. If you had Aaron Rodgers yesterday, you're going to go ahead and start Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. You start those guys. I'm not talking about, people like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan hasn't been an elite guy. He's a good quarterback, but not elite no more. So he might be in my top 5. I can tell you he is in my top 5 for this week. So here we go. Top 5 quarterbacks on the day-to-day. I got, coming in number 5, I got Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers comes in at number 5, going up against the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. Last time, I want to say both teams scored 51 points combined. It was a shootout. I think it's going to be another shootout today. I'm going with Phillip Rivers at the number 5 spot. You want to go ahead and start him today. He's going to have a good game, especially for a chance to get to the championship matchup. So I'm actually starting Phillip Rivers in one of my big leagues. So there you have it, number 5. Coming in number 4 and at number 3. No, let's just start with 4. 4, I got Matty Ice. Matty Ice. He's going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's a scary pick right here. I could actually put him at 5 and put Rivers up a little bit. But here's the deal about Matt Ryan. Sometimes you get good Matt Ryan. Sometimes you get bad. It is a scary situation. But I do look for this game to be somewhat of a shootout. So I'm going with Matt Ryan at number 4. At number 3, this is definitely going to be a shootout. This guy is no longer considered elite when it comes to fantasy. I'm going with Drew Brees versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this game is going to be a real shootout. I think this will be a good game. As y'all know, on Let's Talk About, that was the game of the week. Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints versus the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So he comes in number 3. I think he will have a good game despite Michael Thomas. If you have Michael Thomas, get him out of your lineup because he will not be playing today. Coming in number 2, I do have Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not an elite quarterback. I'm not going to say XU bugging. He's the GOAT. I agree. But I'm saying he's not elite when it comes to fantasy. He's a good quarterback in fantasy, but not elite. And I do think today he's a must start, though. Going up against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they're so hit and miss. They're similar to the Bucs. The Bucs are hit and miss when it comes to certain matchups. But I am going with Tom Brady. I think he has a better game this week than he had last week versus the Vikings. So I'm going with Tom Brady at number 2. But my number 1 quarterback I'm starting in fantasy football outside of the elites, I'm going with Jared Goff versus the New York Jets. I mean, if you just think about it, people, the Rams have definitely shocked a lot of people. I love the Rams today. I love everybody that goes against the Jets. So I'm going with Jared Goff. They've shocked people. They look like they have a great chance of winning the NFC West. So I'm going with Jared Goff as my number 1 quarterback. Let's move on to running backs on the day. C-Mac is out, as y'all know. They played yesterday, the Panthers. Mike Davis didn't have a great performance, but nonetheless, he did get the start. Saquon Barkley, I know, is injured. He was a part of the elite class. Zeke Elliott is inactive. You might want to go pick up Tony Pollard. Dalvin Cook is a must start every week. Alvin Kamara is a must start every week. And Derrick Henry is a must start every week. That's who myself and the MBS crew have came up with as the elite class. I know there's other guys like Aaron Jones that you could throw in there, but he played already, so that doesn't really matter. So let's get to number 5. I'm going with Chris Carson. Chris Carson today. I can't see myself not starting Chris Carson. I know Washington has a great front seven. I get it, but they like to get after the passer, so I'm going with Chris Carson. If they're going to neutralize that pass rush, it's going to have to be run the football with Chris Carson. Coming number 4, I got Miles Sanders. Yes, with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, I like Miles Sanders a lot. You saw it last week versus the New Orleans Saints. Miles Sanders looks to get off when you have somebody like Jalen Hurts who can run the football that effectively. So I'm going Miles Sanders. Coming number 3 is a guy I'm kicking myself over because I traded him along with Devin Singletary to get Ezekiel Elliott right before my playoff push. And I'm talking about Kenyon Drake. And Drake has been just stellar. I think the last 4 or 5 weeks, double-digit fantasy numbers every single week, while Zeke has definitely been lackluster. And I'm so mad I made that trade. It actually probably got me kicked out of the MBS league because of how bad Zeke was playing. But I got Kenyon Drake going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in that matchup, so I'm going with Drake at number 3. At number 2, I got a guy that I consider elite, but hey, to each their own. I'm going with Nick Chubb. Yes, going against the New York Giants. I just think Nick Chubb, man, even though you have Kareem Hunt, this is going to be a Nick Chubb show. I think Nick Chubb gets an end zone twice today, and he'll be right around 100 yards. But my number 1 fantasy running back on the day is a guy that I was extremely high on going into the season. A guy that I thought could be the breakout performer of the, not say breakout, rookie of the year. And that's none other than Los Angeles Rams running back Cam Akers. Last week, we saw him against a really good defense in the New England Patriots, and he just carved them. The only thing that he left a lot of fantasy owners like myself wishing that he scored a touchdown last week. But nonetheless, over $170 last week. I think against the New York Jets today, you may see over 200 yards because Cam Akers is a workhorse coming from Florida State. I got Cam Akers as the number 1 guy, and this is a stud of the week alert right there. Let's go to wide receivers. As I mentioned, Michael Thomas is out. Get him out of your lineup. DeAndre Hopkins is elite. Julio Jones is out. Get him out of your lineup. Devontae Adams played last night. Didn't have the greatest performance. Shout out to my man Corey. I know that I know you didn't like that too much. Adam Thielen, despite a pretty good year, but not a great year, we have him as a must start every week. Tyreek Hill, must start, obviously. DK Metcalf, must start. And Stephon Diggs, he had a great game last night. I think like 30 fantasy points, depending on what league you're in. In my league, it was 30 points. And then last but not least, Keenan Allen had a terrible performance. I know a lot of fantasy owners are very upset about the Keenan Allen performance on Thursday night, but there you go. Those are your top 5 guys. Now, top elite guys that would not be a part of the top 5 because you should start them every week, or you should be sitting them because they're injured. Let's get to the top 5. I'm going with number 5, Justin Jefferson. This rookie has been phenomenal. He is in the discussion for Rookie of the Year. Yes, I know you want to start Adam Thielen, but you also want to start Justin Jefferson with that running game, with that other receiver on the other side. You cannot double Justin Jefferson, so I'm going with Justin Jefferson at number 5. At number 4 and 3, man, I'm starting these guys. I don't care. I may take a dub because, I might take an L because maybe not everybody's going to shine, but I'm starting everybody because I'm taking my chances because I think they could have such a big game. And I'm going with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, the Rams receivers. You got to start them, man. You got to start them. They're going up against the Jets. No disrespect to all the Jets players out there, but it just makes it seem like y'all are tanking. So I'm going with both of the receivers from the Rams this week. Coming in number 2, I got Mike Evans. A lot of people may feel like he's elite. The MBS crew does not agree with that. As far as fantasy is concerned, he is not elite in our mind. He has not put up elite numbers, so we're going with Mike Evans at number 2. At number 1 is a guy I believe is elite, and I'm going to get with the MBS crew about it. I'm talking about Tennessee Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown. I have A.J. Brown on my fantasy team, and I still lost because of that performance by Zeke Elliott. But A.J. Brown is big time, man. You definitely want to start him at your number 1 fantasy wide receiver on the day. Let's move on to the tight end positions. There's only 5 elite tight ends. Well, I say 4, so we can cut one off because of the situation this year. Travis Kelce, you got to start him. Kittle's out, so you don't have to worry about him. Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is a must start every week. It's tight end position. I'm not saying he's the greatest tight end in the world. I'm not saying he has the greatest fantasy numbers, but Mark Andrews is a must start every week. And, of course, we saw what Darren Waller did. Darren Waller had a monster game again this week, but he's already played. So, coming at number 5, I got Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert. What's a rookie quarterback's best friend outside of a running game? A tight end. So I'm going Dallas Goedert. Excuse me, Dallas Goedert at number 5. At number 4, I'm going Eric Ebron versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Steelers are pissed off. They lost 2 games in a row. Eric Ebron looks to shake back this week. So I'm going with Eric Ebron as my number 4 tight end. Coming at number 3, I got Jared Cook. Shout out to my main man, Duke from Up City Records. He gave him the nickname. But I'm going with Jared Cook, no Michael Thomas. I expect Jared Cook to have at least a touchdown in this game and do some good things. So I'm going with Jared Cook. Coming at number 2, I'm a little skeptical about it. I'm not going to lie to you guys tuned in. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going with Logan Thomas. Now, I know Dwayne Haskins is getting the start. I love him as if it was Alex Smith, I would love Logan Thomas. But with Logan Thomas having Dwayne Haskins, it's a little concerning, but Dwayne Haskins has to find his tight end, his security blanket. Logan Thomas is a big tight end. So I'm going with Logan Thomas at number 2. And number 1, the guy that's been extremely hot, Matthew Stafford seems to love him. The Titans give up a lot of points. I'm going with T.J. Hockenson. I think T.J. Hockenson is a must-start right now, and he's one of the most sizzling tight ends right now in the NFL, in fantasy football. You want to get him in your lineup, so I'm going with T.J. Hockenson. Let's move on to the defense. I'm going to go through it really quick because defense, it's one of those things, man. It can give you points, but it can also lose you points. Coming at number 5 and 4, I got the same game because I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I got the New England Patriots taking on the Miami Dolphins, an extremely low-scoring game. I don't think either team gets past 24 today, so I'm going with the Patriots and the Dolphins, and I can see both quarterbacks turn over the ball in this matchup. I like both defenses, so I'm going with them at 5 and 4. At number 3, I got the Cleveland Browns taking on Colt McCoy and the New York Giants. I just think that the Browns are hitting the stride right now, and their running game it takes a lot off the clock, so it pretty much moves pretty fast, the games. So I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll probably pick off Colt McCoy 1 or 2 times today, so I'm going with the Browns at number 3. At number 2, I got the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, they just with Dwayne Haskins, I just don't believe in Dwayne Haskins. And look, Dwayne Haskins proved me wrong. If you want to prove me wrong, go ahead and prove me wrong. But I'm going with the Seahawks. I think they'll probably get you 1 or 2 times. They might get a couple of sacks in that game, maybe force a fumble. I love Seattle's defense today. I'm actually starting them. But number 1, hands down, no, they actually are stud of the week alert. The Rams. Going up against the Jets, it's just all bad. The Rams, man, I don't normally pick a defense as the stud of the week, but I could pick a defense to be stud of the week this week because the Rams are gonna beat down the New York Jets. Sorry, Jets fans. All right, let's move to kicker. The only elite guys is 4 guys. We got Harrison Butker. We got Justin Tucker, who did miss a big kick a couple of weeks back. A guy that's been struggling, but we still have him in the elite category is Will Lutz. That's a little surprising. And then, of course, we got Young Hoo Koo. Dude has been spectacular this year. Best fantasy kicker, so we're going to keep him at elite. Coming at number 5, I got Ryan Suckup from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I'm just going to score a lot of points, so you got to go ahead and put him in the top 5. Cody Parkey versus the Giants. I just think, like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of running the football, field goals. but at the end of the day, the Browns are going to win that game, so I'm going Cody Parkey. At number 3, I got Jason Myers because of this is more of a respect to the Washington football team. This is more respect to them. I think they'll stop a lot of drives from the Seattle Seahawks, so I'm going with Jason Myers at number 3. At number 2 is a guy I personally believe is an elite kicker. He's been playing elite. I'm talking about Jason Sanders from the Miami Dolphins. This dude has been big time. I think this is a low-scoring game. He could have 3, 4, 5 field goals in this game, and the Dolphins may win the game in an extremely low-scoring game. So it may be 15-12, it may be 15-10. So don't sleep on Jason Sanders actually being a really good fantasy option today. And number 1, like I told you, a big shootout with the Colts and the Texans. I'm going Rodrigo Blankenship. Rodrigo Blankenship, I expect him to have a big, big game today in a shootout. Let's move on to the flex positions. This right here can really win you matchups, so make sure you tune into this. Number 5, I got Emmanuel Sanders. No Michael Thomas today. Emmanuel Sanders is a must start to me. Drew Brees is going to get the ball in his hands, so I'm going with Emmanuel Sanders. Coming at number 4, this is a guy that we thought was going to be big time in the situation he was going to, but for whatever reason, it's been cool, but not great. I'm going Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown will finally have a really good game. Over 100 yards, a touchdown, and I think he's going to be a really good flex play today, so I'm going with Antonio Brown. At number 3, I'm going Leonard Fournette. We know there's no Ronald Jones. Leonard Fournette handled the situation great with him being benched from what I'm hearing from last week. But I think Fournette's a good start today, especially with guys like Zeke out, Christian McCaffrey out, Ronald Jones being out. Start Leonard Fournette. Don't feel bad about it going up against the Falcons defense. I think he could have a big game. Coming in number 2 is a guy that I love in PPR, especially with my boy Antonio Gibson being out, which hurt my fantasy team. I'm going J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick, they're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with the Seattle Seahawks offense. And I think McKissick could catch 5 balls today and possibly score a touchdown. So I'm going with J.D. McKissick to have a really good game today, especially in PPR leagues. But my number 1 flex play, man, surprisingly, is Tony Pollard. No Ezekiel Elliott. I like me some Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard actually outscored Ezekiel Elliott last week by double. He doubled what Zeke put out. So I like Tony Pollard today against the 49ers. We know the 49ers are really banged up, and they're pretty much out of the playoff race. So I'm going with Tony Pollard as my number 1 fantasy guy. Now, with that being said, I'm going to answer some questions from social media. Let me grab my phone and let me go to the social media portion of the show. I'm going to answer just a few, and then I'm going to get to my favorite time before the day kicks off. And I'm going to tell you who the stud of the week is, the dud of the week is, and the sleeper of the week. So make sure you tune in. I also got Keo's pick for stud, dud, and sleeper of the week. But my main man, Preppy Curler, wants to know, start. I'm guessing, okay, but he wants to know if you would start Chase Claypool, or if it's A.J. Brown, you got Brown here, man. If it's A.J. Brown, I'm going Claypool. I'm going A.J. Brown. If it's Antonio Brown, I'm going Claypool. If it's Marquise Brown, I'm going Claypool. So, yeah, it just matters what Brown you put, boss man. But if it's A.J. Brown, it's clear it's A.J. Brown. But if it's one of the other Browns, even though I like Antonio Brown today, I don't like him more than Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool was right on the outside of my wide receiver. It's not a flex play. So I like Chase Claypool a lot today against the Cincinnati Bengals. But good question. Really good question. If it's Antonio Brown, if it's A.J. Brown, you know what the vibes are. Start A.J. Brown today versus the Detroit Lions. Okay, let's see. We got Eric Ebron versus Jared Cook. Well, I just answered that question when I gave you my top 5. And this goes out to Seattle Mags. I'm going with Jared Cook in this one. I just like the matchup. I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game. And with Michael Thomas being out, I gotta go with Jared Cook. I just think that he's gonna get some of those touches that Michael Thomas would have got. And we know how much Drew Brees loves his tight end. Let's go. Let me find a good one. These are okay. I want something that gonna make you think a little bit. Let's see. Okay, my main man Bob wants to know, start 2. Let's see. You need 2 wide receivers and a flex. Justin Jefferson, T.Y. Hilton, Mike Evans, and Cam Akers. Well, you know you're starting Cam Akers. That should be your flex play, no doubt about it. The 2 wide receivers I'm going with is Mike Evans and Justin Jefferson. That's the 2 I'm going with. And I see you added another one, Logan Thomas or Dallas Goedert. I'm going Logan Thomas. And that's a risky play, but I'm going to go Logan Thomas just because I believe Haskins has to reach out and get Logan Thomas the ball. And then I'll answer one more to wrap it up because we only have 5 minutes left of the show. It's a 30-minute special. Let's find a good one. I don't like that one. Shout out to my man Smoke Some. I'm going to say this. Look, man, I'm starting Deshaun Watson over Big Ben. I know Big Ben's playing Cincinnati, but I'm starting Deshaun Watson regardless. But I'm not going to use that one as one of the 5. Let me get some. Let's see. Let's see. I want a good one. Okay, Jonathan Taylor from my man Joe or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now that's a great question. Man, that's tough because both of them was right on the outside of my top 5. But I'm going Jonathan Taylor. I just think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I'm an LSU guy, 10 LSU. The Le'Veon Bell, the Darrell Williams situation, I don't know, man. Clyde I don't know. I think they're going to have to use Clyde to beat the Saints today, but Jonathan Taylor's been extremely hot, so I'm going Jonathan Taylor. With that being said, let's get to my favorite time of the show. Let's get to the guys that's going to win fantasy matchups today or lose fantasy matchups. I'll start with the dud of the week. My dud of the week is Kirk Cousins. This dude struggles against the Chicago Bears. Even though I got Justin Jefferson in my top 5, I think this would be because the Bears are going to win this game. It's going to be low scoring, and I think he's going to get some PPR points, not so much a touchdown point. I think Kirk Cousins is going to struggle in this matchup. I think he may throw possibly 2 to 3 picks. The Bears defense was not in my top 5. I am very aware of that. It's just the other 5 defenses I liked a little bit more. And Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense is more capable of putting up more points than I'm giving them credit for. So I'm going with the Bears defense shutting down Kirk Cousins. Keo's dud of the week. I hope he's right. He got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, versus the Saints. Keo, man. Keo. I hope you're right, but I don't know about that one. Let's get to the sleepers. Keo's sleeper of the week is Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr. versus his Dallas Cowboys. He's a Cowboys fan. If you tune into the show, you know Keo loves the Dallas Cowboys, but he's going with Jeff Wilson Jr. as his sleeper. My sleeper of the week, I could have went same game with Tony Pollard because I think Tony Pollard's going to have a good game, but I mentioned him already. But I mentioned another guy, but it's a little low on the list, so I think he's a bigger sleeper. I'm going Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette's going to have a really good game today against the Falcons. So I'm going to go with Fournette. I don't think it's going to be as good as Tony Pollard, but like I said, it's a bigger risk, so it's a sleeper pick. I'm going Leonard Fournette as my sleeper. And as far as stud of the week, Keo's stud of the week is a guy that's been balling all season long with his best friend, Kyler Murray. And I'm talking about new DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop. I'm going with, that's what he's going with, D-Hop. D-Hop is big time. I hope he has a good game because I do have him in my fantasy team on my other league. But my number one fantasy guy today is Cam Akers. Cam Akers is about to make people feel like he's a keeper option for next season. So today, to me, Cam Akers, possibly 200 total yards, possibly 200 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I'm going with Cam Akers as the number one guy in fantasy today that you might want to have on your team. With that being said, this has been the Stardom Sit-Em Show, NBS Central Fantasy Football Show. You already know what it is. I'm Trex, the Sports Junkie. Shout out to my main man, Keo. Shout out to everybody in the NBS brand, and shout out to everybody in the NBS League. Look, we always say this before we wrap up this show. If you win today, well, if you lose today, I should say, You have nobody but to blame but yourself. So don't come on my DMs or on my social media platforms and say, X, you told me to start him. You told me to sit him. At the end of the day, you're your own man. You're your own woman. You have to make that decision ultimately. I'm just here to give a little bit of guidance. You don't have to take the guidance. But if you win, like Drake says, baby, thank us later. This has been the Stardom Stidham Show. I'm Trigger Sports Junkie, y'all. Love y'all. I'm out. Peace.